Avey Tare, 7's album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning. Here tonight to chat about this latest solo endeavor from Avey Tare, aka Dave Portner, Animal Collective member. And I'm going to be honest with you, his solo stuff, Avey's solo discography, it's got a soft spot in my heart. Well, not perfect. I always thought his 2010 debut Down There was a lot of fun. It was everything that I could have hoped from an Avey Tare solo project. It was weird, it was out there, it was experimental, but it was also free-spirited and fun. Oddly playful as well. And while my hopes were a lot higher for his Avey Tare's Slasher Flicks album, I still think it's fun years later. Thought it was going to be a lot better though. And 2017's Eucalyptus, I enjoyed it at the time. I enjoyed it even more by the end of the year. These albums had this meditative nature of a really good neo-psych project, but it also had the poppy side to it, like an Animal Collective project. It was also just, like I said, free-spirited. It was very loose feeling. But while I had a soft spot for all these albums, I also had my reservations. He didn't seem to have a person pitch or a tomboy in his catalog. These albums were, good, decent, and a lot of fun, easy to listen to as well, but they could have been so much bigger. Even his last album, Cows on Hourglass Pond, once again, far from perfect, but I thought it was quirky. I thought it was fun. I would take that album over Panda Bear's Buoys. Which leads me to this new album. I actually was fairly interested in hearing it leading up to its release. I thought the singles were really good. And you know what? It does my heart good to say, this album, it's not perfect, but I think this might be Avey's best solo work. This album starts off with Invisible Darlings. It's very playful. It's very sweet sounding. I love how bouncy and colorful it comes off. It has a lot of life to it, which I think is really necessary, especially with Avey's vocals. They're his usual style, very laid back. And it's odd. It's certainly an odd one, but it has some life to it. It has some flair to it, all the while remaining completely bizarre and totally out there. But this to me is a great sound for solo Avey Tare. It has some lasting energy, it has some personality, it's really good. Lips at Night, on the other hand, it's a little bit more laid back, it's a little more moody even. It's not as bright as this album's intro, but where it's a little less bouncy, it's totally more freakish. Between the off-kilter riff and some of the sound effects we get here, it's an odd one. But much like Animal Collective's best material, as weird and experimental and freakish it gets at times, it ends up being full of heart and really sweet at the end of the day. The musical, for me, I've enjoyed it since it dropped as a single. It's bubbly, it's charming, it sounds like it would have done a really nice job, soundtracking some really sweet animated short film. It's likable, it's just catchy enough. I actually really love the guitar solo here, and Avey is just charming as ever. This, to me, is exactly where I want to hear any solo Animal Collective member, out in the wild doing their own thing. And on top of that, I honest to God can't remember the last time Avey's solo stuff came off this concise, this focused. I'm impressed. And I'm going to be honest, of all the singles here, Hey Bog took me the longest to get around to really enjoying. It's a lengthy one. It's 9 minutes. I just got done saying that this album is some of Avey's most structured stuff, and then we get a real out there jam like this. And if you are not into the weirder side of Animal Collective, you may not enjoy this. But Avey packs a lot of heart into this, and at the end of the day, this track ends up coming off like an actual journey. I'm impressed, and by the end of this track, it's pretty damn hypnotizing between the very rhythmic instrumental and the repeated vocal lines that we get. It's done really well. And Sweeper's Grin, I gotta give Avey credit, because this album gets straight up bizarre at points. And for that alone, for just how weird this album gets, I think it's worth a listen. And this is, I think, the most hypnotic track here, and it's done really well. And once again, it's not an easy listen. It's 8 minutes. The repetitive riff, though, and Avey's very wispy sort of performance that he gives here, it's really cool. It flows nicely. It breezes by really nicely. Avey, once again, sounds very focused. I'm happy. Yeah, I do really believe that as far as solo Avey Tare albums go, this might be the best one that we have here. And I didn't expect to say that, but I just wish this album didn't completely collapse in its final 2 tracks. Neurons. Who invited this guy? What in the centipede hurts is going on here? And listen, there's some cool elements deep down. Those horns are anthemic. But outside of that, this is the noisiest and weirdest left turn on this album. So much so that I don't like it. For the first time on this album, Avey sounds completely lost in this muddy, murky mess. I mean, he sounded so confident so far, but now he just sounds swallowed up by everything. Not good. And Cloud Stop, Rest, Start, like, what happened to this album? Avey sounded so confident, and now we're here. This is a weak, average at best, sloppily produced track that sounds like, I don't know, like if you told me that these were some of Avey's first solo demos that he ever put out years ago, I'd probably believe you, and I'd probably say he needs to work on some things. His vocals are really weak. This instrumental's trying way too hard. I don't know what happened here. And the layered vocals that we get here, they're not trippy, man. They're not trippy. They are just annoying yuck. I really wish that I could just give this album a larger score, because honestly, it was on such a roll for a while. He sounded so good, and this is easily still, I think, Avey's best solo project. The material here is very impressive. He sounds confident. He kind of really gets the right balance of just completely out there and bizarre and strange, but also really heartfelt, really charming, and genuinely sweet. And that's a great balance in the first half of this album. Even more than that is done with so much precision. And then we get the final 2 tracks here, and Avey just sounds like an awkward mess, drowning in his own oddness. And that's kind of depressing, but still, if you're into the weirder side of psychedelic pop, Neo-Psychedelia, gonna want to hear this, and I still stand by it. I think this is Avey Tare's best solo project. I'm feeling a strong 7 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.